Hello, beautiful ladies, and welcome back to Wamen Hour for another episode. I'm joined tonight by my favourite Wamen in the whole world. We have Birdie, long-standing Wamen. Thanks for joining us tonight, Birdie.
Good evening. Lovely to be here as always, and very privileged to be sponsor yet again for Wamen Hour. So.
Yeah, I really like that intro. It's feminine. It's got that really chill music. It's not like quite as alarming as the last intro. So I'm going to stick with it.
Relaxed.
I love the jewelry. Love your photography. And love the birds, all the nature. It's just very like a nice transition to
calm for this time in the evening. Yeah. Well, if I have any more bird photos, I will send them your way, Poe. We can have a lovely a lovely intro with birds and jewelry.
That would be great. My illustration side hustle is still going though, so even though I'm not advertising my cartoons anymore, I do still have that open to anyone who needs some illustration or graphic design work. Let me know. Something I do on the side.
You have done the bit of free advertising for you. You've done the lovely banner for my Twitter page for Douglas Castle. So if people are wondering what Poe's artwork looks like, then go and have a look on her page and have a look on the Douglas Castle page.
Look, here it is. Just briefly. I don't have your banner image to hand, but I do have my old intro.
It was a nice calm intro, and then you brought that about. I'm slightly terrified now.
And Cows as well is joining us tonight. Thanks very much for joining us.
Of course. Greetings, everyone.
And we've just been talking about how you make Wojak that feel face artwork.
Yep. If anyone wants a Wojak, I guess talk to me. I guess.
No, you're obviously good at it.
Thank you.
I think that it would be good to have like a everyone with a kind of slight variations on the same profile picture as make an army unified front.
Yeah.
Don't want to make it. Oh, and who do we have creeping up? We have our very own, previously called Ash Princess, but now no longer incognito, but just fully being herself tonight. It's Daughter of Albion. Please don't fire me, HR, if you're watching this. I don't agree. I don't subscribe to the beliefs of Daughter of Albion. Oh, she's gone.
Oh!
She didn't like that.
That lasted long.
All right. Well, until she turns up, I guess I should remind everyone watching that we run an auction every week on Wamen Hour, where you can suggest topics for future Wamen Hour episodes, and you do that by leaving a super chat in the live chat if you're watching live. You can also leave super thanks, which is a new YouTube feature where I don't have to be streaming. You can just go to my channel. If you're watching this after the fact, just go to just underneath the video. There's an option to leave what amounts to a super chat, but not live. So you just leave a message and some money, and you can have your topic addressed on Women's Hour if it beats all of the other bids tonight. Last week, our winning bid was to watch Double Indemnity, which I did watch. I don't know if we'll have time to watch to talk about it tonight. I had it was a good film. I don't know if there's a lot to say about it. I don't know if Amy's going to get round to watching it. None of the other women have watched it yet, I believe, but we'll see what we get round to tonight anyway. what we can stand, how much we can cope with on the stream tonight. But since we didn't have any other topics in the piggy bank, we've gone with something that Birdie's wanted to talk about for a long time. So I think almost a year now, talking about buying secondhand and what the Americans call thrifting. Is that right, Cows?
Yes, and I too am very excited for this one.
All right, and we have a certain Fash
Oh,
Princess
no.
joining us.
Oh.
How are you doing now?
Oh,
She's sounding a little bit fuzzy.
I hear shuffling.
Oh dear. All right, let's just mute her for a while, and see if she comes back with a bit more to say and a bit less fluff. All right, so why don't you introduce the topic, Birdie? Because you've like I say, you've wanted to talk about buying secondhand for a while and saving money, acquiring vintage items.
Yeah.
Why do you shop secondhand?
I would say the main reason for shopping secondhand is definitely, as you just said, saving money. However, I will say that it's not always saving money, especially with some antique stores. They can, they'll put a price on it and say, oh, it's antique, so it costs more. It's a lie. Okay, there are certain items that, that are decommissioned, they're not made anymore. They are going to cost you more. So what I mean by buying secondhand or thrifting, I mean literally going to those shops where it's floor to ceiling full of stuff that looks dusty and may look horrible, but it only takes a bit of hot soapy water to bring back together. I see nothing wrong with buying secondhand clothes, especially a decent pair of secondhand shoes. 9 times out of 10, people will buy them, they won't fit, they can't be asked to send them back, and they'll sell them on for cheaper. Those sorts of things, amazing. It's not just clothes, though. I mean, my cupboards, I always have to apologize to Alex because I tend to come home with many, many teacups and saucers that I've found or thrifted or have been given to me. I have a silly amount of teacups and saucers now, but I love them and they're great and they are a best way of getting crockery. I mean, I think the only sort of crockery items that we've bought are literally bowls and plates, and that's more to use when guests come round because we already have bowls and plates, but they're secondhand and they're, I wouldn't say shabby, but it's like when you get your best china out, that sort of thing. It is mainly about saving money. Our house is completely mismatched. We don't have any matching cushions, no matching sofa. All of our furniture's been mismatched. As we know, brand new furniture can be very expensive. If you want a decent piece of furniture, it can be very expensive. There are loads of places to look for decent things. I don't agree with just thrifting or buying secondhand just for the sake of it. If you are looking for something specific, it is worth looking around because at some point or another something will crop up. I've managed to save a silly amount of money on buying secondhand on both clothing, furniture, what else have I got? Crockery, shoes, absolutely everything. There is so much out there that people just get rid of, and I hate the idea of getting rid of something that's perfectly good, could still be used, there is nothing wrong with it. Also saves on waste. I'm not a massive environmentalist. I do, care about the environment to a certain extent. So I'm not buying something that's brand new that's been shipped in from China. I am buying something, or sometimes even getting for free something from down the road. It's literally your neighbor getting rid of something and you can make use of it. It's very, very useful. It's like clothing. I make, do, and mend. I think we do need to go back to that. It's a skill that everybody should have. But I will say, and I think leading on for Cows to chime in, that over here, I'm not sure if it's the same in America, but over here, thrifting is different from buying secondhand. So over here, you buy secondhand, as in you literally buy it, and you might give it a lick of paint maybe, or just clean it, and that's buying secondhand. You buy it to basically immediately use it. Whereas thrifting, you buy something to purposely do up, to purposely make look better, and then if you don't then want it, you then sell it on for a profit. So that's kind of thrifting here, which is becoming more and more popular, I have to admit. But I'm definitely more of a buy secondhand than I am thrifting.
Cool. I do have a counterpoint to all this, but before I stick my negativity in, I do want to let Chaos have an opportunity because you wanted to talk about this as well, Chaos.
Yeah, so basically, as Birdie said, it's a very cost-effective way to acquire things that you might need. Personally, whenever I've went into a thrift store or consignment shop or whatever you want to call it, I go in expecting to find something, and then I'll come out with something completely different. So now, I basically approach a thrift store, thinking, let's see what I can find. It's basically like a gold mine if you know how to look, where to look, that sort of thing. Certain stores are better for certain things. At least here, there's a big difference of thrift stores for clothing, thrift stores for specific brands, thrift stores for furniture, antique shops, all that sort of thing. I think that for both men and women watching, it's a great way to find just like basics. Like you might not find like a brand name like jacket in there, but it's really good for neutrals. It's where I've acquired most of my basic color turtlenecks, a few skirts of mine. Trousers really good. I accidentally found my favorite pair of sneakers in there, so that was cool. But yeah, it's very cost effective. A lot of times here, I don't know if it's the same as over there, but at the front of the thrift stores, like basically near like the checkout, they will have like they'll have like a little sponsorship with like a local brand for like jewelry, soap, just like those kind of like little things. Similar to I guess like Birdie's shop, but like they'll partner with like a thrift store, and that'll be sold like near the checkout. And it's just really nice. It's a way to support a local business, local creators, that sort of thing. So yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I dare to try and bring the Fash Princess in, but I'm going to leave it on the back burner because I do want to come back with a few points here, and just really quickly, I want to say that I agree with lots of those points, and I actually work in a charity shop on weekends, on and off for the last 10 years, 14 years of my life. I started doing Duke of Edinburgh. You have to do the Duke of Edinburgh Award involves doing volunteer work, so I started volunteering for a charity shop, and then since then I've just been doing it pretty much every Saturday, apart from when I had very, very young children and when I was at university. But anyway, I'm very into reducing waste, and I know sort of environmentalism and climate change is not something that we talk about a lot on this show for a lot of reasons. But I actually do hate the idea of stuff getting made in China and Bangladesh, and just getting, someone in a sweatshop making something very cheaply, which then gets, shipped over here in a big shipping crate, and then someone wears it once or twice or doesn't wear it at all, and then it goes into landfill. Doesn't matter what you think about what sort of modern environmentalism and just stop oil protests or whatever. That just doesn't seem right to me, and I don't like buying anything that I can get secondhand just because it seems like a waste to me. And one of the benefits of working in a secondhand shop is that I can just wait. But when you want something, there's a kind of drive to go out and find the thing, look at all the different kinds, and then buy it. And there's a kind of joy in that I think especially women love to shop, and especially it's fun to shop when you have something you're looking for. You feel like you're kind of on the hunt. But if you maintain restraint and just wait for secondhand shops, I often find that I don't have to wait very long before something secondhand turns up that is, like you say, very good quality, hardly worn if it's in terms of clothes, or hardly used. Stuff that I need for my children, I've often got secondhand either from other people, just, other people with children, they're always just trying to get rid of stuff, whether it's from charity shops or if they know you have kids, they'll just give you stuff, or sell it to you. Which is always great. But what I want to talk about in this show, not just about thrifting, but about shopping in general. And I think the thing about thrifting is that people think it's such a good deal, like you're saving money. when really I think it is just a sort of slightly more benign manifestation of this like shopping impulse that people have that I think is it's not quite as sort of consumerist. There is something more pleasant about it, but it's still feeding that impulse to acquire things and put them in your home, and then very quickly get bored of them. A lot of the time, the things that you put in your house aren't quite as delightful as the first day you brought them home and found a place for them on the shelf. And then this sort of counter impulse overcomes people, where they get so attached to the things in their home they don't want to get, but because of that sort of idea of waste and throwing things away, people don't want the things that they've bought and spent money on, things that seem useful or beautiful, they don't want to get rid of them or to just put them in the bin, because it feels like such a waste. And you may have seen Marie Kondo tidying up show on Netflix, or read her book, like very, very popular a few years ago. And it's all about this, what I think is quite a sort of pathological impulse for hoarding that obviously manifests in people who are very, very sick, and they fill up their houses and it's extremely unhygienic and unsafe. But that same hoarding instinct, I think, is what drives people, just normal people, to just go shopping and buy stuff and clothes and stuff that they no longer use or look at, and they just fill their cupboards and their garages. And I don't like any of that. I have a personal I have a few images here to share, but personally I love space and open space, if that makes sense, like a clean walls, clean floor.
So would you consider your style minimalistic?
Yeah, it's definitely like a sense of style.
Okay,
It's personal to me, but I also do I do back it up with a kind of with this psychologizing thing that I think it actually is like kind of a sickness, the way that a lot of people indulge this sort of consumerism, and it ends up sort of driving them mad. And I've got a few images here of like these are the images that make, I think a lot of people think this looks sterile.
I hate this.
But to me, like this is like serene.
Yeah, this literally scares me. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. I cannot stand this at all.
It looks like the interrogation chamber in the Lubyanka building, you know.
She's appeared.
Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Sorry, is that a bit cleaner with the microphone?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, we couldn't hear you at all before. So yeah, it's perfect. Okay. No, thanks for interrupting. I'm glad
sorry
that
for interrupting you.
These images end up getting tiny, but yeah, this is the kind of thing that I think it is just a personal taste thing to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's just a want to be tidy thing, or do you actually think it's your sense of style?
It's both. I mean, I see. I go to other people's houses where they have lots of things, and often it does look very nice. But I wouldn't like to live there. You know, I want to live somewhere where there's just open spaces, and you know, they haven't got anything on the windowsills or on the walls. You know, I don't really like the idea of like decorations.
I feel like you would hate my house, though.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's lovely, but I just wouldn't like to live in it.
I love cozy. I love clutter. I love all that sort of stuff. But I do approach it with the kind of Marie Kondo aspect of, does this item have a purpose to me? That's her biggest thing. And that's what sort of got her into minimalism. But you can be not a minimalist, but also approach your style, your chosen items in your home with so much more of a sense of purpose than, oh, this thing is trendy right now, or oh, that's cute, versus, does this have a meaning to me? Is this something that I am going to keep for several years? Will this, you know, be my style down the line? That's really important when it goes into especially thrifting, because there's just so much of an abundance of stuff in thrift stores. It's very easy to kind of go overkill. And when I was younger, when I had a bunch of part-time jobs, you know, like I had money and I would just run to the thrift store and buy something that was cute, and then it wouldn't fit, or I'd grow out of it, like the style. And now I approach it a lot more level-headedly, so I don't kind of turn into that hoarding aspect that you were talking about, Poe. So yeah, it's interesting that you brought her up.
No,
yeah, especially
It's
things like things that Birdie were bringing up, like plates and saucers and mugs and knives and forks. Like there's just there's no end to how many of these things you can buy very cheaply secondhand, because a lot of people are sort of moving and they get rid of them. But there's really, like, you don't need that much. If you have guests, it's like, okay, you got like 4 people coming round. So you need like your set, and you need the guest set. But just looking at the functional side of it, when you've got loads and loads of plates and loads of cups, it's more things that you can like fill the sink with. So instead of cleaning up, you could just go grab a clean one, and then it just builds up, and that's really like a nightmare scenario for me.
So this kind of links into what I was going to say in terms of space. I have a rule that if I go thrifting or I go secondhand shopping, we will basically say if we're looking for something specific, we'll try and look for it. But if there's something that we see and we think, oh, we really like that, or really want it. One, does it have a purpose? Will it get used? Are we actually going to use it, or is it just gonna sit there? Or two, if we really like it, it's a really nice ornament or something that it doesn't actually have a use, it's just really nice, we will literally say, right, do we have a space for it? Where can it go? If either of us can come up with an answer, fine. Our house is quite small, as most people know. We live in a Cornish cottage. It is tiny. Okay, our ceilings are 6 foot. It's basically a little hobbit hole. So everything we have it's got its place. Now, my mum always used to say I had clutter, and she saw it as clutter. But then, as I got older, she stopped using that word, and now it's, oh, you've got a lot of stuff. And then Alex's mom, when she came over, she was like, no, I like it because there's a lot of things to look at. So when we have people round, you've got conversation starters. They like, well, I've had like my own brother, he just got up out of the sofa and started wandering around my house because there was so much to look at. He was looking at all of the books, he was looking at the postcards, he was looking at the candelabra, he was in everything. If there's a nook and a cranny, there's something in it. There's it's not an Aladdin's cave. You can still move. There is a limit. You've got to have a line, and then knowing your limits in terms of having a lot of stuff to not becoming a hoarder. There is a big difference between the two. And as you were saying, Cows, you do have to be in control of when you go secondhand shopping or thrifting, because it's so easy to get out of control and just buy everything, because one, it's so cheap, and two, you might not see it again. So you just buy it and you're thinking, well, why? I don't need this. Why did I buy it? But on another point, I had a load of side plates, teacups, and saucers, and all sorts of random crockeries in the same boat. I do have a lot of teacups. I'm not going to deny that, but they are all stored very nicely in a cupboard, so you can't see them.
But that cupboard could be just floor space that you would have for to move around in your home.
No, it's not floor space. It's our kitchen is a stupid layout.
Okay.
It wouldn't be used for anything else, sadly. So naturally, I fill teacups. I do like to interchange with my teacups, so I do tend to. If it depends on my tea, whichever tea I'm drinking, it depends on which teacup I use. But that's not even the point.
It's just triggering me.
It's cope. No, I had all these side plates, and we had my sister and her partner around, and both of them were saying that they needed some side plates, and where's the best place to get them? And I instantly had a brainwave, and I thought, no, hold on, I've got loads that we haven't used in about 2-3 months. So if we haven't used them for that long, in my head, we're like, well, do we need them? So they went off to my sister, they've just got a new house. So to me, that was perfect. I've done her a favor. She's cleared up a bit of space for me. Now I've got room for another teacup. So
don't get another one. Yeah, what I thought you were going to say, Birdie, was I thought you were going to say that you have a 1 in, 1 out policy, not with teacups, but just with buying things in general, which is what we have to do.
Yeah. If we don't have a space for it, and if we really, really want it, we will purposely. If we buy it, then we have to get rid of something else. Because we might have space for it. You always find space for it if you really want it, but that's not the point. You don't want to be finding space that you shouldn't be finding, if you know what I mean. You don't want to
Mhm.
hoard, because in my head, if you're doing that, if you're purposely finding a space for something, you're beginning to hoard things.
You know, Birdie, if you want to do us a favour, I've always liked the idea of all of the ladies of Women's Hour, whether we're on camera or not, to be all drinking from the same like teacup set. So Amy and I both have Denby, but they're different colours, and they're kind of mugs, which is just a little bit less Wamen Hour, in my opinion.
Okay,
So
okay.
if you really want to, I'll pay for your postage if you want to send us a matching
I'll
teacup
send
to Amy and
everybody a
I.
teacup. I have plenty of like matching teacups, so
Well, there's
I'm gonna
money.
have to find the bubble wrap. I'm gonna send
There's
teacups to everybody.
There's super chat money in it for you. So
That sounds great. Okay.
I don't want to put you out of pocket for it.
We need people to send super chats so that I can send matching teacups to the women's hour. Just for the aesthetic.
I want to have like Amy next to me, and then we'll have like a little like ding.
I'll just change my profile picture to the matching mug every time I'm on stream. So it's
that'd be ideal. That's been my dream.
Holding the mug.
No, that'd be ideal. That's the dream I've had since starting Women's Hour, is that we should.
Well, it's nearly Christmas, Poe, so I'm sure we can figure something out.
Okay. So, yeah, a lot of everything you just said is very triggering to me, Birdie, and I think you need. Part of me does want to come into your house and just throw away everything.
I honestly don't think you'd want to. I mean, we have space. We're not at the hoarding stage. But being the kind of house that it is, there are natural sorts of, like in the fireplace, for instance, it's not flat. So there are natural sort of gaps and holes and ledges. So, of course, I've got a little ceramic frog sat in there. You know, just
awesome.
Why? I don't know. It's cute. It's sat there. It makes me smile. And then when people come around, it takes them ages to figure out why on earth I have a ceramic frog, or they'll spot it last minute and then they just start talking about frogs, and it is quite amusing. It's not in your face, and it's one of these subtle little things.
Well, let me tell you about conversation starters, because I think you're right, and the things in your home are, like, to an extent supposed to be there for your guests. When you have ornaments and things, like most people, you stop seeing it after a while, and it's really just there for your guests. But I prefer to use photographs. Family photographs are lovely. You don't need to go shopping for them. And bookshelves, just like you said, like the people can look at the books, they look at our Blu-rays, they look at the photographs, which are great ornaments in themselves, and they're not free, but they're not, it's not like paying for art.
But we have an unknown amount of books, and it's now got to the point where, I mean, I'm bad for teacups, okay, but Alex is bad for books. So he has the same rule with books. If he comes home with another one, I have to tell him to find another space. This has not stuck. We now need another bookshelf. We don't have room for another bookshelf. So yeah, it's now got to a point where I'm like, well, now I'm having to find space for these books. But at the same time, I mean, I think AA's even said it, that some of these books you have to get. Because you're not going to see them again. I mean, we managed to get hold of the whole set of the children's encyclopedias. Now, the whole set of those are worth an absolute fortune, but some idiot on eBay was selling them for about 20 quid. So we managed to get the whole set. And that's something, if you see it, get it, because you can't get them anymore. And they are fantastic books. They are so full of knowledge, and I mean, we've already agreed our kids will be learning from them instantly. So things like that, I can kind of understand, if that makes sense. It's something that's useful. You may not use it straight away, but it's more of I'd see it as sort of an heirloom. It's something you're going to hand down and keep it going, and you almost want to protect it.
I want to tell you something about that, because a lot of people buy stuff with that exact, I don't know if they really believe it or if it's just a justification, but especially people who have like a collection and they think like, oh yeah, I'm not collecting for myself, I'm going to hand this to my children. And like, and it comes to, your children cleaning out your stuff when you die, and they're like, I don't want this. Like most of this stuff, like we don't have space for this, we've got all our own stuff.
There's a fine line. If I see something like that, for an example, I have a copper wind chime and a matching set to the wind chime of candle holders. Now I use these candle holders, and the wind chime's up by the window. Now these belonged to my nan and granddad, And to a lot of my cousins, they were just junk. Whereas I remembered them. I remembered them being used. I remembered the sound of the wind chime when it was hung in the conservatory. So these things to me were like, no, I want that because I remember it. That to me is an heirloom. It's been passed down to me. I'm going to pass it down to them. But I think you can only pass something down to your children if your children remember it from their childhood. So if you purposely make a point of it being part of their childhood, if they grow up with it, if you use it, if you make a point of it being there, it's not just sat on a shelf and, as you were saying, Poe, it's not just there and you kind of forget it's there after a while. It's something that you physically look at, it's something that you appreciate being there. Then that's a bit different. That to then makes a point. You've made an effort for it being there.
So Cal has just sent me this.
Dining room. Yeah.
Now this is very, very comfy. I'm not going to deny it. I want to sit here and I want to read a book, but I do not want to live here.
I DM'd Poe this picture for context, saying this is basically how Hat's study looks, except the hat on top is a Panama hat, obviously. But he has books everywhere, papers everywhere, drafts of poems, drafts of this, that, and the other thing, little statuettes, stuff that he picked up like on a trip or something, just everywhere. And I love it. This is my chosen aesthetic. I'm okay with the comfiness, the kind of clutteredness, but everything here needs to have a purpose. It's not just to achieve the aesthetic, it's to genuinely have a use for everything that we have like sitting in front of us at this desk. So
yeah, no, absolutely, I completely agree with you. And I can almost guarantee you that if your books look like that, that means you're using them.
Yes.
They are being moved. They're being shuffled around. If they've got 3-inch thick of dust on them and they're pristine lined up on your bookshelf, you haven't touched them. If you've got books that you're trying to protect, is that from Howl's Moving Castle?
Yeah. I watched Howl's Moving Castle with my daughter this morning. It was so magical. I love this film. Like I say, it's the same thing, Cal. It's like in this film, there's so much clutter in the castle. It's like magical spells and books everywhere,
I feel like it's classed as clutter if it's not in its proper place, if it's not stored properly, if it's not. Because you can be cluttered, but it can be tidy, if that makes sense. So like my bookshelf, they were all in the same place. They might not be perfectly ordered, but they're all in the same place. It's not just stuff thrown in a pile.
Yeah, it's also akin to that, Birdie. If you have to move stuff in order to live your life, like in the House Moving Castle, it's an extreme where they're about to have breakfast and Hal he has to shove the clutter, just shoves it down the table with his elbow as he puts down the plates of bacon. That's an extreme. You need help. You need to stop whatever you're doing and clean up immediately because that's too much.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we have a lot of stuff, but it's a case of, if we get that out to look at it or to use it, you have to put it away again, because if you don't, then you can't use the dining room table. You can't use anything, because we don't have much spare space. So in terms of having a lot of stuff, it's all got its place, and as long as it goes back to its place, I don't have an issue.
Yeah, a place for everything and everything in its place is a phrase that comes to mind, which I really believe in. It's seriously the kids call it a life hack. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but when I lived in quite a chaotic household growing up, not quite Howl's Moving Castle levels, but there was very much where's my thing, or where's my keys, where's getting ready for school in the morning. Every day it was a chaos. It was you had to find 16 different books and clothes and PE kits, and I never had anything that I needed, and it really was quite a source of anxiety for me, and I was always late, and it was really my life was not in order, and a lot of that was just my personal failings, but a lot of it was just this chaotic house that we lived in, which I think is why I'm drawn to these, what I consider serene open spaces where everything, there's no cupboards and stacks and things hiding away. It's just open space with just the things that you need and nothing more. Because when you know where everything is, you can just grab it. It's I need this, I'll just go directly to it. And when you see something that's not in its place, it starts to call out to you to move it back to its place. And there's this like very satisfying moment of putting something back where it goes and knowing that it's in the right place that I find very very satisfying. And when I'm pinned to the sofa by by breastfeeding or something, I actually find it like very very upsetting not to be able to put things away sometimes. And that's how you can tell that it's the tidying is working, because it's just part of your life. You don't have to go and clean up every day, because it's just a case of, I know where the things go and I'll just put them back immediately.
Yeah.
And even teaching these habits to my daughter, who's only 3, since she's been 1, she's been able to put her toys away, because there's only one place where her toys go. It all just goes in the same toy hamper, and that's it.
I feel like this works for both kind of lifestyles. So the more minimalistic and the slightly chaotic teacup mad lifestyle of having loads of stuff. In terms of everything's got a place, and there is, as you say, something very satisfying about putting it back in its place. But I think the main difference is that if you've got the more minimalistic style, you've got more room to put it back, if that makes sense. So if it's going in that drawer, then okay, it's going in that drawer. Whereas with sort of our house, it's a case of we don't even have many drawers. We just don't. Nothing's built in. We have a couple of built-in cupboards, and everything's kind of on bookshelves, or it's in a little cubby hole somewhere. So everything kind of slots in very much in a satisfying way. So if you've got my little porcelain frog, if he falls off, then I can just slot him back into the fireplace, and he's very happy sat there watching the fire burbling away. So there is something, it's almost like puzzle pieces, but to a puzzle that's not difficult. If you use something, you put it back instantly in that place, and it's very satisfying because everything is clean, it's organized, and as we were just saying, everything has its place. And as long as it stays in its place when you're not using it, it works for every lifestyle. I think that's just something that works among every aesthetic, any type of lifestyle that you have.
Yeah, I think when you have so much stuff that you don't even know all of the things that you have, and you forget that you have it, and that's just completely useless. If you've forgotten that exists, then that's literally useless, because you might just go and buy another one if you don't know it's there.
It's literally a meme of when you're a teenager and you clean your room and then you get distracted by all the cool stuff you find.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be finding stuff. It should be stuff you have. If you've found it, it means you lost it at some point and you forgot about it. So get rid of it. And I'm saying this to everyone, and if you're listening, anyone who's guilty of it on the panel, if you find something, you shouldn't find it in your house if it wasn't lost in the first place. If you've forgotten about it, then make a point of, I don't actually need this. I've not used it. Don't do the, but what if? Because that, I think, is horrendous. Oh, what if I need that at some point? Or what if I'm going to use it at some point? If you haven't used it in a year, just get rid of it. You don't need it. Let somebody else take care of it.
That's good, actually. The 1 year rule is very good, especially for clothes, because you've gone through all 4 seasons and you haven't worn it. So when are you going to wear it?
Yeah, I need to do a serious clear out. Thank you for the reminder.
Same here. I'm in the process of moving, and there's so much just stuff that I have that I need to get rid of, finding things and being entertained by it briefly and then deciding to keep it. I was going to say I'm completely guilty of that. But I was going to say I grew up in a way that I perceive as similar to Poe. I kind of grew up with chaos. But I kind of had the opposite reaction, as in I was able to function with the clutter, with just the kind of mess around me. And when I was growing up in my house, cleaning was always kind of used as a punishment. So it wasn't something that was just done. We did it when we were in trouble. So I kind of have that mental connotation of cleaning equals I did something bad to get through. And it's still kind of hindering me in my adult life to I think about it when I'm with my little siblings, when I'm going to inevitably raise children, that cleaning is just a part of life. It's not a punishment. I'm completely guilty of, getting undressed or finishing a cup of tea and being like, oh, I'll put it away later. And then I'll see it exactly where I put it down 3 days later and be like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. I can see Poe getting extremely triggered right now. Yeah,
it's
such a bad habit, and Hat totally gets on my behind about that, and it's something that I'm trying to learn. But yes,
I think it's so easy to just put something down and walk away from it. It's more difficult to get into the habit, because I did the same for years until we moved into a smaller house, actually, and then it was right. I have to put, if I want to keep all of my random stuff that I love to pieces, then I have to put it away after I finished it. If I've used that teacup, do not leave it on don't leave it on the fireplace and then sort it out 2 days later. Like, I had to put it away, purposely wash it up, and put it away, because there just wasn't room for it. And it's quite a good habit to get into. When you finished with it, put it away instantly. Don't go into the habit of putting it down. And the worst one, I think, severe example of this is when you get home from work and you dump stuff down. So you put your keys down, you put your wallet down, you put your phone down, whatever it is, your handbag. It'll be in a different place every day because you've just dumped it.
Yeah.
I got
the keys.
the habit of putting the keys. Yeah, keys are the worst one. I made a point of putting a key bowl. So again, a bowl that I really, really liked, didn't want to get rid of. I made a use out of it. I made a key bowl by our front door. So now, as soon as we get home, you put the keys in it. Yeah, it's the same with shoes. I now have 2 shoe baskets by the front door. The shoes instantly go in it, or if they're muddy, they go by the back door, etc. Get into the habit of doing it as soon as you step through the threshold. It's once you start, it's so much easier than kind of falling into the trap of, oh, I'll do it later. It's so easy. I've done it myself. But if you just kind of drill into yourself, like just do it now, and then you can sit down and kind of reward yourself with a cup of tea, going, oh, I've done that. That's been put away already. It's so much nicer. I promise.
Organized chaos. Is that what they call organized chaos?
Yeah. That's my life.
I like that.
That is my life. My life is organized chaos every day.
I like that. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I think that kind of vestibule, or what is it called? Like the entryway to your house, whether it's got its own room or not. I think there's a real value in making that, like, the outside stuff stays in that, like, contained in that area.
Yeah.
So the shoes, the keys, stuff you only need outside, the coats, like, you're not going to need these things in your house, so don't bring them in the house. Just leave them in there, like, in the entryway.
Yeah, leave them in a specific place, because the amount of times where we've left jumpers somewhere, or where's it gone now, and it's because it's in a random place in the house. It's not hung up, or it's not it's not been put back, so we lose it. If it's not been put back, it will disappear and you won't find it for weeks. It's one of those.
Yeah,
we put up a little hook at 2 feet up from the floor in the entryway, just in our front door. So our 3-year-old hangs up her coat, she hangs up her bag, and she doesn't do it every time. You often having to remind her, but it's there and she can do it herself, and so
she knows where it is.
Yeah. No, it's very helpful. The baby's crying. We'll see if my husband can deal with it, but we've been cutting our live streams short lately because the baby's just not sleeping as well as she used to, unfortunately. So we'll see how that goes, but Fash Princess, did you have anything to add to the topic? Because we didn't have you earlier on, either about buying secondhand or clutter.
Well, I got into thrifting when I was a student learning to restore books. I obviously needed a lot of them to practice on, and I felt, I obviously didn't want to buy brand new ones, so I would just go and find ratty old ones, and I was all surprised by the kind of gems I would find there. I would say I'm less so I kind of got into the habit that way. I would say I'm definitely, because what I would do is I would restore them to make some pocket money when I was a lot younger, and put them on Etsy, and you fix them up a bit and then resell them, which is a really good way to make a bit of money if you're a younger person or older person. I definitely say I'm less about the clothes. I love the kind of salvage yards. Some of them obviously are a bit more expensive, especially if you're around London way. But so I grew up in Devon, and because there was a big dockyard in Devon, you used to get all this weird salvage at the various places. So obviously,
I'm laughing because I know exactly where you mean.
We'll have to talk about this afterwards. I bet you've been there.
Yes,
well, I'm home for Christmas soon, and I'm already itching to get there because you'll find, like, I don't know, nuclear warheads or whatever.
Yeah.
But you'll also find really cool, like, old, like, enamel mess tins. So last time I got these big chunky like railway timber sleepers. My dad made them into a table, but they've got the old, I love it when you get the old manufacturing stamps, or be like, or Liverpool Dockyard, it'll say, or, you know, from HMS, whatever. I love anything like that. So definitely all about the recce. It does take a bit of like, you know, you obviously gotta, I just use my dad's sander or whatever. And if you, I like doing all the upcycling anyway, but so yeah, I mean, clutter wise, I'm really into mid-century modern sort of look. So it's kind of between, I love my objects, but they're very particular. So I like thrifting for that sort of thing, maybe, statement pieces. But the good thing about thrifting is you can change them. I don't feel guilty if I've not spent too much money on it, and then. But I have a 1 in, a 2 out policy. Is my policy, just to be clear, and also you know, just have the mantra of, you know, do I need it? Can I afford it? And can I get it cheaper somewhere else? I suppose, or is it worth it? But yeah, definitely love a thrift. But as I say, salvage, anything that's kind of, you know. How do I put it? Just you know, when you see these like crazy, like I've picked up an old Soviet Union railway lamp for I think £4 in a charity shop once, and I got my dad to put in a new bulb in it. So
I would probably get that if I saw it too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so you just sort of put a new bulb in it and use it as a desk lamp. I think it looks really, really cool. So I love anything like that. But there's definitely a fine line between hoarding and, I call it the nesting instinct as a woman.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think if I can add on to what you were saying,
Yeah.
in terms of, you know, finding things that have sort of history, should we say, I absolutely love that, and I think that's something that when you're thrifting or buying secondhand, so that there is something to kind of look for in that. So instead of just thinking, oh, I'll buy that teacup because it looks nice. No, I'll buy that teacup because it's got a little scratch on it. It's got a stain on it. It's got history. It's got a story. I want something that's been pre-loved at some point, or it's quite literally been through the wars. You know, I would agree with you. We've got some really odd things in our house.
I love that. I think we're very similar in that way. But even the crockery, like the teacups, I like. It's also very quality, like a Wedgwood. I mean, obviously some of the old stuff like glass, you know, you might get lead in, so you got to be careful. But like the teacups, you know, Wedgwood or Spode, they're really solid quality. And
if anyone, this is a more of a safety announcement for anyone who's going secondhand shopping. If you buy green glass, put it under a black light. If it's glowing, it's radioactive. Okay, just
the UV light,
because it probably won't hurt now, but I wouldn't put it near an infant. Let's put it that way.
The UV glass.
And again, with Victorian artifacts that have green pigment, because again, that's radioactive and contains arsenic. Now, there are some places that don't know this. So if you go thrifting, and it's, again, you know, kind of a dockyard sort of place or a salvage yard where you get hundreds and hundreds of things, and the owners don't always check, let's be fair, you know, they kind of just look at it, oh, that's nice, I'll put it in that pile. They don't properly look it over, and those are the best places to go because you will find all sorts of things. And
absolute gems.
Yes, uranium glass is completely safe. It's not uranium glass I'm on about. There is radioactive glass.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was different. Okay.
It's a different color green.
Interesting.
It's actually slightly darker than uranium glass, so it doesn't look. But anyway, if it's glowing, you can normally tell the difference if it's uranium glass or radioactive. Thank you for that first. Thanks for pointing that out, because else I probably would have forgotten to mention it. But yeah, a lot of these places, especially over here, I'm not sure if America's the same in terms of kind of just having stuff and just pushing it aside, and owners who don't kind of look through their items first. You do kind of get places where antique shops or thrift shops that are very much a hoard in their own right. You know, they are hoarding stuff. People just give them all sorts of things, and I love those because you find so much cool stuff.
Yeah,
there's so much that you can find from that, and they are the best ones to go to. But do be aware of what you're looking at.
There's
yeah, right.
There's a thrift shop like an hour away from me that I've been meaning to specially go to, and it's one of those like kind of hoarding style, like there's just stuff stacked to the ceiling type of stores, and they have a specific room that is dedicated to frog-related items.
Oh,
That really, really
I love it.
soothes my autism. I want to go in there. I want to see what I can find.
You're gonna get some very,
Can you please send it my way, because
well,
Yeah.
the prudentialist would love that. Is he the guy who loves? He's the one who loves
We all
frogs,
love
right?
frogs. I feel like frogs at this point are just kind of like a right-wing
Frogger. I
cult
think you're
in their
right.
own right.
My joke was going to be that you can find some very rare pepes in there.
Yeah.
Some very rare
wanna go
frogs.
there.
very rare peppies.
You know what? This is my sign. I will go there. I'll post the pictures on Twitter if you're
Oh,
interested.
please!
Please
I'm
do.
definitely interested.
Shameless plug.
Definitely
my
interested.
@ is Cowpill. But I was going to say, I think Poe's baby's crying, but I'll keep talking. That thrifting for secondhand clothes specifically, just what Miss Fash Princess and Birdie were kind of on about having something that's had a history, that's well loved. I personally find that very comfortable with clothing. I personally hate the feeling of like stuff when it's fresh out of the box new. It just kind of has like that stiff kind of, stuffy feeling to it. It smells like a clothing store. When it's thrifted, like shoes, jeans especially, they are kind of loosened up in all the right places that you would be like bending your legs or your foot or whatever. And I feel that things, when I buy them secondhand, they're a lot more comfortable. They're broken in already. Especially for me, I have a very odd shoe size. So once I find a pair of shoes, even if it's in my size, they can be extremely uncomfortable for the first few weeks I'm wearing them. When I'm at a thrift store, granted they do have my size or something that's kind of my size adjacent, very comfortable, already broken in. So yeah.
We should start a sisterhood of the traveling pants where we each of the women's out.
Love
The
that.
same pair of jeans.
Oh, you can probably wear my pants as a skirt.
We'll get some fluorescent dungarees from the dockyard for you, Poe. Some big water fisherman's ones,
Lovely.
I mean,
Yeah,
I have to admit, I do agree with you, Cows, and I don't know if any of you ladies have found any, but hand knitted jumpers, okay?
Ooh.
Proper thick quality hand knitted jumpers that somebody's nan made them, and they probably got rid of them.
Nan, yeah.
They are great because they're great quality. Some love has gone into them at some point. They're really thick. They've been worn in. So unlike a brand new sort of knitted jumper, they're not stiff. They've been worn down a little. So they're great. Absolutely great. You can pick them up for a couple of quid. It's amazing.
I'll take you along the little train of thought I just had, because I was thinking we should have the sisterhood of the traveling cape, where we all wear the same cape. But then I remembered I saw a woman wearing a cape yesterday. I was so excited, but she was a goth, so it was kind of an edge case.
Hey, that's cool. I'm supportive. I'm in support of that.
She wasn't like full goth. She was like a businesswoman with a kind of not business. I don't know how to describe it. She wasn't like a teenage goth. Like she was like on her way to somewhere, like to catch a train or something. Like she had a handbag and she was a proper human being. She wasn't like cosplaying. But
She was a real person.
And I knew the exact cape she was wearing because I like did research, like looking for like actual capes you can buy from women's clothes stores to see like what is the state of the
Cape market.
Yeah, the cape market. But
Well,
now that you girls are bringing it up, I'm like second hand. Like I'll just how'd you get a second hand cape? Really?
I found a great cape on Etsy recently. I'll send you the link. Check it out because I was thinking of buying it. So you should go there too. We'll have matching teacups and capes.
Yeah, I mean it's still a joke that I have a cape and it is green, and I'm not even bothered about it. I'm loving this. I'm so happy about it.
Next event, we need to do our panel in capes.
Can I just keep the head out so you can at least see the teacup and the cape that's on? So I'll just keep it down.
Well, the power of meme magic brought that like blue with white daisies dress into existence, and suddenly everyone's wearing them. So maybe we can meme the cape into.
Well, see, this again was the joke at the event because obviously Cows and Poe, you were there, but for Fash Princess and anybody who wasn't there, for their information, I was wearing a very similar dress that was pink with white daisies on it.
Oh, pretty!
And there was a bit of a joke of somebody's wearing a trad wife dress.
Yeah,
I looked a bit too much like the meme.
That's cool. The meme's in.
Now I want to add the cape to that just to just to spice it up a bit.
I like it.
Kind
I
of
have to see the
unrelated.
cape, yeah.
Yeah, kind of unrelated, but on the note of just like kind of being autistic about fashion, oddly enough, goth fashion, whether it's kind of the really edgy ones or the more traditional looking ones, have a very similar dress sense to many historical fashion figures. Like they love, again, like secondhand. It's really big in the kind of goth and alternative community, and just upcycling items, kind of taking stuff from the trends of like 100 years ago and incorporating them into fashion now is just really cool, and I love that. I totally respect it.
You have seen some of the kind of Victoriana stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think I could pull it off,
corsets,
but it looks
tall
really
boots.
cute.
Yeah.
But it's
I-
only a small little hop, and then you're in like steampunk, which is just a little bit.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they
fine
overlap
balance.
in a lot of ways.
I literally leading on from this, I had two comments today. One from a gentleman in his 50s, and another from a younger woman, both saying that they really liked my outfit today. But just to narrow it down, I was at a local market selling my Douglas Castle wares, wearing some Victoriana style boots, which were secondhand, some woolen
Nice.
tights, a woolen tartan skirt, and a Victoriana style corduroy top. And the amount of people who looked at me and they were just like, I really
That
like
sounds so
it,
cute.
but it's
Yeah.
it's a bit Victorian. And I was like, yeah, and I'm warm and you're not. And they didn't know what to say. So I was just like, you're stood there shivering in your skinny jeans and your puffer jacket, whereas I'm toasty. So
I love a woolen tight. Are the boots the kind of lace up ones, the ones that lace up the front? You know, those nice
no,
Victorian
they're
style.
the ones that they're completely black, sort of.
Yeah.
They're velvet, but the bottom is faux leather. With a nice little heel on them, and they've got
Nice.
the flat sort of faux poppers, if that makes sense, going all the way up, and they're almost knee high. They're just below knee.
Ooh,
So they are very.
they sound
nice.
lovely.
Mrs. Radcliffe taught me the term kitten heel in her live stream she did with her husband about clothes.
Yeah.
I love that term, kitten heel.
heel.
Me too.
Yeah, that's so cute.
We got a super chat for the next. I think this is the winning super chat so far. Thanks very much from Orospot. Oros Post. I'm just going to say that a few more times. I don't know from the top stream about the sentiment behind the 1 Timothy 2:18-15, and where women's voices should be in society, how women's voices can benefit right-wing circles, and how intense anti-women femininity is cancer on the right.
Ooh.
Ooh, juicy.
Thanks for that. We did have a super chat earlier that I don't want to forget about, because even if it doesn't win, we should really read out all the super chats we get. But that's a great topic, and I'd love to actually get a woman on the stream. Last year we had Bethel McGrew, who's a Christian blogger, sort of very popular in her own right in a quite different but somewhat adjacent circle of the internet. I'd love to get her back to talk about like actual biblical context instead of just me just shooting off my own opinions. It'd be great to get more sort of a broader view of the sort of Christian interpretations of this scripture. So I will just read out the super chats we got earlier. DRT is king, frequently our top paying patron for topics. We've had a few of his, but he's not winning tonight as it stands right now. Why is there a focus on teen romance in? I think this is a bit wrong. On teen romance in Developed, with a lens being the Studio Ghibli film Whisper of the Heart. Love the podcast. Have a great Veterans Armistice Day. We call it Puppy Day here in the UK. Thank you very much.
Yes, 11th of the 11th.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's Veterans Day here.
It's come so quick. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I really should be wearing my puppy, shouldn't I?
It is the
You let us down, Blue.
Yeah. I've seen Whisper of the Heart, and I love teen romance. I love it. I don't really like adult romance because it's a little bit too over sexualized. I'm such a prude. I love sort of innocent first love you know, innocent, you know, kissing and
The
all of that.
cringy stuff. Do you like the cringy stuff?
Like
I love
we
Whisper of
carrying
the
the girls' books type thing.
Yeah, you know,
Aw.
like all Housemoving Castle, just anything with
Yeah.
you know, romance without the without so much of an emphasis on like the sexual angle. I find brilliant. I don't really understand the question, so DRT is king. If you want to rephrase that, why is there a focus on teen romance in developed countries, with a lens being so looking at that topic through Whisper of the Heart. You're not currently the highest paying super chat though, so we don't have to discuss this. But I am curious to see what the actual question was.
Yeah.
All right, we are at 10 o'clock. We started a few minutes late, but if that is all we have to say, it might be a good time to finish up. So maybe I'll play the intro again.
I will quickly add that if anyone wants to see the wee frog that's in my fireplace, I have posted him on Twitter.
Yay! Check it
Go
out.
and have a look at my little frog.
If I ever visit your house, Birdie, that frog might meet with an accident.
Oh, that is fighting to it.
I don't like ornaments.
I'm gonna have to move my frog. Okay, I'll have to send a picture of my ceramic mouse that's also in the fireplace.
That's hilarious.
Okay. Thanks,
Fully
everybody.
frog.
My husband's stealing the mouse. Okay, not that kind of mouse. He's moving the mouse from across the room. Okay, now I'm ready. Let's go. Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye.